All right. Good evening. Hello, everybody. I'm Suzanne Shirley, Emerald Ambassador with Plexus. It's been a couple of weeks since we've had one of these, but if you're watching the video playback, you wouldn't even know that. We are here to finish up the book tonight, Get Over Your Damn Self by the amazing Romi Neustadt, multimillionaire, incredible network marketing guru. Believe it or not, she is one of the very tippity top earners in Rodan Fields. She's like one of the Celeste Gwynns of their company. Yes, and her husband is as well. I mean, both of them in their own rights are two of the top earners in that company, which is a skincare line. So the last basically the last chapter, and then she finishes up last two chapters and then finishes up with a couple of other ideas. Let's just kind of go through it. On chapter 15, she's talking about how when you join a company and when you get going and you're spending part of your free time building your business, and that free time used to be with your family, more of it used to be with your family, with your spouse, with your children. And she says, for the sake of just making it easy to talk, we're going to talk about your husband. Okay, I could say spouse, but that's what the case is. Most network marketing professionals are women. It's just the bottom line. Most of them are. Okay, not in all cases, but the majority of them are, because they technically want to stay home, build a family, and be at home with their children while earning a really amazing income. So Romi talks about your business, what you're doing is going to start to interfere with the convenience and just the day-to-day doings, life of your family. It's going to interfere with them. It's going to make them inconvenient. It's going to threaten them. It's going to annoy them, and it's going to make them uncomfortable. Your spouse and your kids. So she advises that, and I do too, that you've got to strongly make it about them. Find out what's in it for them, and then make it about them. Find ways to recruit them as to be part of your shareholders for your business. They are definitely your number one team members, your number one shareholders in all that you do. And don't assume that just because you have a spouse that has a job, and there are some people in this industry that are able to retire their spouses, don't assume that your spouse wants to retire from his or her job. Don't assume that. Because I know for my husband, he's never told me that he wants to retire from his job. That is certainly up to him. That's his choice. If he wants to do that, that's totally an option for him. He can take advantage of that at some point when we're able to do that. But he has never in all this time that I've been in this expressed the desire to leave his job. And I know for men specifically that what they do defines them. It defines who they are. Whereas women are more defined by the kind of people that they are and what they are as a person. So don't assume that your spouse wants to be retired from their career unless they've actually said that specifically to you. But when your spouse understands the benefits of your business, that it can provide for him or her, whoever your spouse is, and then he or she is going to, it's hard for me to do it. Let's just say husband. I'm going to do what Romi says. Just call him a husband. That's what I'm going to do. Assume that your spouse, whoever they may be, I'm just going to say the word husband. You need to sit down and give them the pros and the cons. You've got to give them what's in it for them. Find out, what does your spouse actually want out of this? What can they get out of this? And then start to show them how you're going to make that happen for them. Because without doing that, it can fall apart. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Tom has told me, and I'm retired from teaching. Tom has told me, you are out of teaching, you're out of your job, and you're supposedly here, but you're not here. So There's whole weekends where sometimes I don't see him at all. I don't spend any time with him. He has to go entertain his brother. He goes and entertains himself. He does whatever. And I'm busy working all weekend when he's off work. Because that's when people are available. And that's when things are going on. When I can actually talk to people, that's when they're available. The rest of the week, they're at work. I have had to, there's been some times recently, I'm going to be honest with you, in our own marriage where things have been touch and go. Where arguments come out of nowhere about all kinds of things, and it gets really hairy all of a sudden, and it's really intense, and I feel like I'm a failure at the marriage and this and that and the other. And really what I think it all boils down to, and we've had this discussion, is that he's not seeing the benefits of this yet. And that's the truth. And we've had to have that talk. He is not seeing the benefits of this yet. I'm getting the benefits of this. I'm out of my job. I get to sleep in. I have no alarm clock. He does. I get to go to the gym at 9 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't have that option yet. The way we work it with our finances, he pays all of our household bills, and I pay him so-called what I was making from my teacher's salary. I just give him that money every month, and he takes care of the bills. But I take care of the business. And if he sees me buying anything for myself, it becomes a touchy subject because, oh, she's getting something and I'm not. In other words, I'm getting the benefits and he's not. Now, do I go out and buy myself stuff? No, I don't. I don't have the money to go out and buy myself stuff. I'm too busy running a business and running a team and paying bills and paying the big one, taxes. Hello, taxes. That's the big one. That's bigger than anything. That's the biggest bill I pay. But when I do, like before convention, I went out and bought some clothes. I went out and bought some stuff for Hawaii, and whenever you go out, it's a touchy subject. I'm just telling you, I'm being honest with you here about relationships. It needs to be even Steven. It needs to be where, he doesn't expect me to buy him a bunch of junk. He doesn't want a bunch of stuff, but he just doesn't want to see it uneven to where he gets nothing from it. And especially he needs more than anything, my time. He wants me to be around. He wants me to be available for him. He wants to spend time with me, and I want to spend time with him too. But I could get so wrapped up in what I'm doing that I neglect him. So it's always a balance. You have to go back to the balance act, go back and revisit. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? What's the time frame? When are we going to be able to experience some of this freedom that you keep talking about? And the freedom happens in stages. It does not happen all at once. It's not like you do a bunch of work and then tomorrow you're a diamond and all the freedom is there. It's not, no. It comes in stages. And some of the stages are absolutely incredible. Incredible. But he's not really experiencing it yet. Now, he does get to go on the trips with me. He gets to experience that. He did get a computer, but if you ask him, he's making payments on it. And it comes out of the money that I give him every month to pay bills. So, I don't see him getting all the benefits yet. We've got to sit down and revisit what's in it for them. And if you have children, you've got to do that with them as well. And and I'm not one to speak about this, I have no children. The younger your children are, they're going to need to see what's in it for them a lot quicker. And they're going to need to experience the paybacks quicker than if they're older. Okay, so you've got to figure out a system to where you can make sure that they get their needs met. They start to see some of the benefits of that for them quicker. They need immediate gratification where that's involved. We've got to come up with a family why. You've got to have a family goal or a dream board. I know the older ones get cranky too. You're right. They all do. A family dream board. Make it a family goal board. Just, have a discussion with your kids, with your spouse, all together, and decide, what do you want this to do for your entire family? What does each person in the family want? You need to also recruit your spouse. You need to recruit your husband. You've got to do that. She suggests the very first three-way call you get on is with your sponsor, you and your spouse. In other words, your spouse is your first prospect. They need to be your first recruit. They've got to be on board. And if they're not, you've got to work on that. You've got to help them to get on board. And for Tom, it took, wow, probably a year. And it got less, there was less tension between us as the end of the first year of me being in Plexus approached, but it was still extremely intense. I mean, he made fun of me regularly on a regular basis. It started off with, I don't want to hear about this in my presence. I don't want you to say the name Plexus. I don't want to hear about it. It was making fun of what I was doing, to accusing me of being a heartless person out to get people's money. I'm not trying to make him look bad. That's not what I'm doing. He is the most amazing human being in the world. But he did not believe in what I was doing, and he did not see what this was. He hadn't been to any corporate events. He didn't see the integrity of the company and understand the integrity of the product ingredients. He didn't understand. He had not seen all the testimonies and the lives changed. So he had no idea. He just thought this was another mission that I had bought onto and started going down that road, and I was going to drag him with me. That's what he thought. I'll never forget some of the really, we had some horrible arguments. Standing outside of a restaurant one time, just was shaking with rage and sadness at the same time. I couldn't even speak because I was so offended at some of the things he was saying to me, accusing me of being a certain way. After he saw me for years throw my life into my students, pour my life and my heart and my soul into people without getting paid to do it, and then being accused of, basically swindling people out of their money, that kind of thing. It just really, it just killed me. But the fact is the man did not understand what I was doing, and he didn't agree with it. He didn't buy in. He hadn't bought in. So that was his only way to shake me up and make me see how he really felt about it. There's so much stigma about network marketing out there that if you have an unsupportive spouse, number one, you have to pray. I did a lot of prayer, and it started to get way better because I was praying about it. Believe it or not, I left it to God because I couldn't change. You can't change someone's heart. And you can speak until you're blue in the face, and it's not going to change the way someone thinks. Ultimately, he loved me, and he knew I was never going to quit this. And he knew that whatever he was doing was killing me. So he had to relent. And even if he didn't change his mind about a lot of the things that I was doing, he learned how to shut up about it. He might have thought all those things, but he didn't voice them. But when we went to Leaders Retreat, the very first one, it was Washington, D.C. And that was the very first trip that I had earned. It was paid for. We bought our plane tickets, but I think we had earned plenty of flyer miles, so we just didn't even have to pay anything to fly there either. So our airfare was paid for by our flyer miles. The Gaylord was paid for by Plexus. We were there for 3 or 4 nights, and he had never been to Washington, D.C., and neither had I. And here we are in our 40s. And I was a teacher, and I had read about Martin Luther King, and I had read about Abraham Lincoln, and I had known about the greatest amazing things that had happened in our history, from the Revolutionary War all the way through the Civil War and many other things, the Civil Rights Movement, all these things. And to be standing with these monuments in our nation's capital, I bawled in several places, without making a fool of myself. But it was life-changing life-changing, being able to have the opportunity to go to Arlington National Cemetery and watch the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And, to see all of the most amazing places in our country's history, in our capital. And he sat in the meetings with me. He sat in one big meeting, and he was inspired. And he couldn't deny that the company was one of integrity, who had the right ambition, the right mission. If you can get your spouse to come to a corporate event with you, I highly encourage that. Get your spouse to come to a corporate event. That's going to change things for them. So you got to recruit your husband. Ask them to be your sounding board. If it's okay, if you can share your victories, your challenges, you tell them that you don't necessarily want them to fix it, but that you just need them to listen to you. And that's what I've asked Tom to do in many cases. He still, gives me this, slapstick answer. Well, then quit. Is that's hard? Then quit. Then stop talking to people. Well, that's not the answer. You don't just quit because something gets hard. But I've told them, I just need you to listen. So do that. Recruit your spouse to have them just listen, support you, celebrate your victories, be your number one cheerleader. Ask them to hear about your team's big victories, little victories. Be a part of the team. Really sit down with your spouse and talk about your schedule and juggling all the responsibilities that the two of you share, and make sure that they feel that they are just as important in this game as you are. Have a candid conversation about what each of you can do to help the other one, so that they don't feel like they're out there alone taking care of the kids or taking care of the house or taking care of the bills or whatever else is going on. Brainstorm about the bigger picture strategies on how to free up more time that both of you can enjoy together. This is going to have to be a discussion where you're uninterrupted by the phone with the children, etc. You've got to make sure that you're doing that. And when you work together to juggle these things, it brings you closer and it makes you feel like a bigger part of each other's lives and each other's success. I have told Tom many times that he is my partner in this, that he might not realize that he is my partner in this business, but he is. He does not go out and prospect anyone, but he has let me look at his Facebook friends list and let me friend all of his friends and even reach out to them. I have known to cold contact many of his friends, and he's allowed me to do it. And he doesn't mean that he doesn't cringe, especially when I tell him sitting in the car, hey, I'm talking to such and such right now. And he'll go, oh my God. He'll just sit there and go, you can't believe you're talking to them. But yeah, that's what I do. And, I tell him, I can't do this without you. And it's the truth, because I'm not lying when I say I can't do this without him. It's the truth. I can't do this without him. He's got to support me. I need it. It's a requirement. It's not like an option. I need his actual mental and emotional support. And he actually physically supports me. He goes and fills the car and vacuums and cleans certain things. We don't have a spotless house, but he washes my clothes and he pays the bills. I don't have to worry about that. Not everybody's spouse is going to do that. That's just Tom. He values acts of service. That's his love language. So he does things for people. That's what he naturally does. But he physically, emotionally, and mentally supports me. Doesn't always do the best at it, but he is right up at the top if you ask me. He's a human being. He's going to make mistakes, but he has come full circle. And I've told him, and I know this sounds corny, but I've told him, I said, when you're standing on the beach in Maui and you're looking at this beautiful place that you've never been to in your life, and we're standing there together celebrating our 20th anniversary, you're going to realize this is real. It's just going to be one more step up the ladder of realizing how real this is, and then knowing that we're going next year. and knowing that we're going to go the year after, and knowing that we're going to go the year after, that we're always going to have an annual vacation paid for by Plexus. That is pretty amazing. And that is going to be an eye-opener for the spouse too, for sure. Leveraging your spouse's network. It's going to help you to grow twice as fast if you can tap into your spouse's network. Ask them to sit down and make a list of all the people that your spouse knows who is influential, successful, knows a lot of people, magnetic personality, who's in between jobs, or who has a wife. Right? If your husband knows anybody that has a wife, you need to get a hold of them. That's for sure. Once he gets in the habit of thinking of people, he'll start thinking about other people all the time, even at the most random of times. And that's the way you do when you build your Franks list. You're constantly building your Franks list, so you're going to have people come to your mind a lot. And when you do, wherever you're at, you need to have some place to record that so that you don't let them get out of your mind. But he's going to do the same thing. Once he's got a list, and the two of you need to figure out a best way for you to reach out to these people. There's no one size fits all type way to do it. He might make the initial contact, email, phone call, text, and say, hey, I just wanted to reach out to you. My wife is involved in this incredible business where we focus on products, I am a sole believer in the product myself. I love them, and here's why. I would love to have Suzanne contact you at some time. What is a good time for her to be able to get a hold of you? Or if you just get a hold of his list, you could say something like, hey, Tom suggested that I get in touch with you to pick your brain about my business since you're so well connected in such and such city. I could reach out, and that's usually what I do. I mean, he never reaches out to anyone and says, hey, my wife is involved in something. Can she contact? No. He doesn't do that. I just go ahead and cold contact all of them, basically. So maybe the wife or one of your husband's contacts should hear about your business. So, for example, Jack, my wife's business is really cooking. She's just paid our mortgage, and she's covering all the kids' activities. She's paying for the family vacation this year. And I think Judy should take a look at this. Maybe that's your spouse going and talking to one of his good friends saying his wife should take a look at this. Just different scenarios here. So basically, my wife has all the info. Let's connect the two of them. So it's the husband trying to connect the two wives. Okay, how to handle a not so supportive husband. I think I just covered that. There's a massive chapter, the massive couple of pages, and I didn't underline anything because how do you tell somebody to handle a not so supportive husband? Number one, you pray, like I said, and you recruit them, but you can't overly recruit, and you have to, what's in it for them, and you have to have talks and be patient with them as if they are any prospect. They're the prospect that cannot ever get away from you. You have other prospects that can get away from you and never talk to you, but your husband or your spouse cannot ever do that. So they are your number one prospect. They're your number one recruit, and you have to be patient with them. We talked about making your kids a part of your business. I, again, cannot speak to this. Don't have children, but make it a family affair. Give them little jobs to do. I mean, I know you guys are very creative with this. Have your kids get on Facebook and wish certain teammates happy birthday, or, Kyle and Cassie Rainey are really great at this. I see them doing it all the time. They're always getting their kids involved in the business. They have them do their drawings. They have them do Facebook videos. They are 100% shareholders of what's going on in the Rainey family. And if you've ever seen them, some of you have known them, so you see what they are doing. But that's basically what, and if you have children, you have a family, if you ask me, you've got something huge to post about every single day. I mean, you've got something interesting and exciting and new to talk about. You might not think that what you're doing with your kids is interesting, but let me tell you, when all you have is a dog and you go to the gym and you try to eat healthy and you're retired from teaching, what are you going to talk about? See what I mean? My life is not that fascinating. So if I had children, I could be talking about what they're wearing, what they're eating, what they're doing, what they're saying, where we're going, what they say on the way to where we're going, what they do on the way to where we're going, you know, their cute little dances and the things. I mean, it's endless what you can do with your kids. So be creative and get your kids involved to partner with you in your business. Let them do your drawings. Let them get involved with that and make them feel like they are just as important as you are in your business. Ultimately, when you involve your spouse and your children, it's going to make you a better wife. It's going to make your husband a better husband, a better man. It's going to make your kids more grown up and more, you know, everybody's going to be a better version of themselves when they ultimately get involved in this. The next chapter is a bad word. I'm just going to say this way without saying the bad word. I'll just say the name of the chapter is Screw Fear. In other words, like kick it in the butt, right? Kick it in the butt. You can know everything that you need to know about network marketing, and you can be connected to all kinds of top level network marketing rock stars in our company. And you can watch training videos every single day and have all the techniques down and all the knowledge about our product and still be held back by fear. You can. We all are held back by fear of some sort at some place at some time. All of us are. All the BS stories that you're making up in your head, fear is behind every single one of them. Every single one of those BS stories that you make up in your head. We get cloaked in it. We're covered in fear. And over time, it can become so thick and heavy that it keeps us from remembering our dreams. Is it any wonder that despite having all the training and tools you could possibly need, that so few actually build this business that they're capable of building? So few people. I see people all the time get stuck in fear. They're afraid to do things. So they put other things on their priority list, things that they've been so used to doing their whole lives. And Plexus becomes less and less center and front stage in their life. If it's your number one priority to become a jewel, then it should be at the top of your priority list to work your business every single day and to face your fears. But if your number one priority is to entertain yourself in whatever ways that you do, and spend the majority of your time doing other things, then, and I'm not talking about just taking care of your family and being there for your spouse. That's non-negotiable. I'm talking about what are you doing in your free time? What are you doing in your spare time? That time that you cut out for Plexus. If all of a sudden other things start to take the place of Plexus and Plexus is shoved to the side more and more, you're afraid of some stuff. You need to figure out what it is. You need to face it head on and realize that when you're facing your fear, you're doing it right. You're finally doing something that's going to move your business ahead. When you feel that prickly, freak out thing in your stomach that's going to make you literally have a conniption fit because you don't know how to handle it, that's fear, and you need to just do it. Whatever it is, you need to just go ahead and do it. Do it afraid, because that's what's going to move your business forward. When you do things when you're afraid, like when you finally figure out what it is you're afraid of and you feel uncomfortable and you don't back down, but you progress ahead in spite of the fear, that is moving your business forward. Trust me in this. Bob Heilig always says, when you start to feel afraid, good. You've hit what you're supposed to be doing. Whenever you're afraid of something, guess what? That's the thing you're supposed to be doing. You can darn well guarantee that whatever it is you're afraid of is what you need to be doing in your business. period, you can rest assured it's going to move your business forward. So what are the huge list of things that people in this business have admitted to being afraid of? Fear of not saying the right thing, of looking or sounding stupid, of exuding too much confidence, not being confident enough, not being taken seriously, fear of what people think of me, what people think of this business, of annoying all my friends and family, pestering people, being that person that everybody wants to run from, fear that I don't have what it takes, fear of not having the right network, fear of exhausting my network, of running out of new people to talk to, fear I won't meet any new people, of keeping my funnel full, fear of keeping my funnel too full, fear of not finding the right people, of investing time in the wrong people, fear of rejection, fear of getting a no, fear of a no changing our whole entire relationship, fear of being judged, of disappointing others, of disappointing myself, letting my kids down, letting my husband down, letting myself down, proving my critics right, not proving my critics wrong, of stressing myself out, fear of putting too much pressure on myself, not going fast enough. I've gone too fast and now I'm going to hit a wall. Fear of really applying myself and failing, hitting a plateau and not moving past it, not finding business partners, not being able to train new business partners, not growing a team, not being able to lead a team, not doing enough for my team, not finding runners, fear of finding runners who will go way faster than me, not finding people who will see what I see, of the time I've sacrificed and it's not being worth it. Fear of not balancing team support with growing my personal business. Fear of never being able to balance my business with the rest of my life. Fear of my business getting too big to balance. Fear of not making enough money, of making a lot of money and losing it. Fear of success. Fear of failure. Fear of my team failing. Fear of not sustaining success once I get there. Fear of being good but not so great. Fear of being efficient enough, not being efficient enough to grow big. Fear of having to choose between my current career and this company. Fear of going all in and then it gets taken away or it collapses. Fear of saturation. Fear that my network will join somebody else. Fear of not being enough for everyone. Not being a good leader for my team. Not being as good at mentoring as my mentor is. Fear of not being able to bring three-way calls into action. Fear of the unknown. Fear of never being able to retire because I was a chicken crap head or too tired to be or too distracted. Chicken, the S word is what she's using. Fear of being, because I'm a chicken S word. Fear of letting I can't win over I can. So I don't know if you can identify with any of those. I can identify with over half of them. More than half. If you're honest, those things go through our heads night and day. We just don't realize it. We don't do anything about it either. They go through our heads all the time, these things. And Romi says, I'm a fixer, I'm a lawyer, and training is her first inclination to argue all these fallacies of these fears away in her team. But you know what? She can't do it. You can't argue a fear away. You can't convince somebody to not be afraid. You can't help team members better understand their fears. You can't do it. If they understood the responsibilities behind their own fears, it would be easier to muster courage, and that courage might be more powerful than what was holding them back. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe or maybe not. But you cannot fix anybody else's fears. And you certainly can't argue them away. Fear is not intellectual. It is emotional. It's not rational. It's not pragmatic. It is emotional. So what did Elizabeth Gilbert write in her epic book, Big Magic? Listen to this. Fear will always show up when we strive for great things and take great risks because fear hates uncertain outcome. This is all totally natural and human. It will always show up, and this is what else she adds. It absolutely is nothing to be ashamed of, to be afraid. Courage is routinely required to build our business. What does Nelson Mandela say about courage? I've learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man or woman is not the one who does not feel afraid, but who conquers that fear. In other words, the brave act in spite of their fears. They do it afraid. Go ahead and be afraid. They just do it anyway. They do it in spite of the fear. Stephen Pressfield in The War of Art agrees that fear is actually a sign that we must do it. When you feel afraid, it's a sign that you must take action in that area. When you feel afraid, that is a big sign and a big indicator. Bob Heilig even says it, that you've got to do that thing. You've got to go ahead and do that thing when you feel afraid, because that is the thing that's going to propel your business forward. So Romi says, I've had fears my whole life, and when I've acted in spite of my fears, it was because my desire to grow and stretch and dream and achieve was far greater than my fears. The fears did not disappear. She said, I just told my fears to go screw themselves, basically. And I'm doing this, she said. So, Maya Angelou, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you. Absolutely. You're going to have your fears. We all do. But make the biggest, loudest ones revolve around this. Fear of what you will miss out on if you do not go after your dreams. And I could end it there, but she has some really cool things that she wanted to add at the end, and I've got a couple of them I want to hit on. She's like, and these things have nothing to do with anything. They don't fit in a chapter. But she's like, this is my advice. Do yourself a favor and follow my advice, she says. Do yourself a favor and vow only to wear stretchy athletic wear when actually doing only when doing athletic endeavors. Why? Because one day you're going to put on your jeans and they won't fit. You're going to put on your fitted clothes and they will not fit you. And she is right, guys. She is right. I live at home now. I work from home and I wear 20% of what's in my closet. And guess what that 20% is? It's the stretchy stuff. It is, because we go for the comfort, right? When we don't have to wear anything else, that's what we're going to wear. That's what we're going to do. As you get more and more successful in your company and even your entire profession, don't get caught up in your own press. Don't chase the accolades and the recognition. Don't try to be the best, the fastest, the top earner, or the biggest cheese. Try to be the best you can be every single day for you and for your loved ones and your team. There may not be a company title for that, but there's a life title, and it's called servant leader. Oh, I cannot agree with that more. What the rest of the company thinks of you, and if you're a red personality, this will speak to you because I'm a red, and that spoke to me in droves. If you're a yellow, you're not seeking recognition and accolades. That's not something that you're dying to have, be recognized for all your hard work. Most yellows sort of want to fade into the background. But reds, they want to have recognition for their hard work. And as a teacher, I never received recognition for my hard work at school. Never. Never for decades. Never. So yeah, I guess I want to be recognized for my hard work, but I will tell you something right now. The biggest recognition that's out there is what your team thinks of you. That is the only thing that matters. It does not matter what the company leaders think of you. It doesn't matter what other teams think of you. It doesn't matter what anyone in your upline thinks about you. It does matter what your team thinks about you and how you serve them and what you are to them and when you're there for them and how often you're there for them and what you're able to do for them is all that matters. Your team. That's it. It's all that matters. Don't wear bangle bracelets because they're going to fall all over each other when you're trying to be at the front of a room and you're moving your arms around. Don't give it away. Don't give the product away. Don't give it away. It's too valuable. And when you're talking about how great your products are and how amazing they are, and then you end up giving them to somebody because you're just desperate for them to try it and they're not willing to pay for it, I'm sorry, you're devaluing the product. And don't offer so many rebates and free giveaways and specials. Don't over specialize and rebate the product, because you're devaluing it and you're taking away the value of the product. It's very affordable. This product is so affordable. And if anyone, okay, it's not affordable for someone who lives below the poverty line. Okay, it's not. I had a former student who was very sarcastic to me the other day, and she texted me and she said, Miss Shirley, yeah, and she's a full-grown adult. She still calls me that. And she says, tell me how this product at XYZ number for the 3 top products is not too expensive, and how in the world you think that I could afford this. And I said, well, first of all, you're quoting the retail price. And I don't know anybody, I literally don't know anybody that pays the retail price, except for one person who refuses to listen to me. Okay? All the other people I know pay wholesale or a discounted customer. And I said, if you think $3 to $4 a day is too expensive, then you don't have a job that's worth anything that makes you any money. I'm sorry. I said that. I literally said that to her. I said, I'm not trying to be rude to you, but I'm just being honest with you. If $3 to $4 a day for your health is too expensive, I guarantee you, you're spending that $3 to $4 somewhere else. You're going to buy a soda. You're going to a vending machine. You're buying shoes. You're buying you're buying a shirt. You're buying a purse, you're buying a coffee, or whatever. You're buying something with that $3 to $4. So don't be telling me that, honey bunch. Don't rebate the product so much. That's why don't give it away. If you're discounting the proposition more than the occasional enticement, then you're diluting yourself and all that you have to offer. When posing for pictures, and in this business, we pose for a lot of pictures. I almost tried to guess what she was going to say here. Turn your hips to the side. Rotate to the waist to the front. And put your hand right here on your hip. Yes. No, it's not exactly what she said. In other words, don't face the camera full hips forward. Turn to the side just a little bit and rotate your torso. And put your arm, don't just hold your arm at the side of your body, because that pulls the arm and it makes it flatten out. So bend your arm just a little bit and it makes your arm look smaller. That's what she says. Bend your arm just a little bit, makes it a little smaller. Bend it at the elbow. Have to read this because this is really cool. When one of your close friends or family members poo-poo your business, and there will be at least one, simply tell them that you do not expect them to buy your products or join your team, but you do expect them to support and respect you. Period. I know there's more out there for me. Tell them. And I'm glad I have the guts and the grit to go for it. Aren't you glad I do too? Mm-hmm. Then let them do what they're going to do, because their stuff is not about you. It's not about you. So welcome them with open arms when they end up needing your product or your service, or when they need to replace the income from the job or the husband that they just lost. Word to your mother. That's right. Okay, I think we are officially done. Thank you, Romi Neustadt, for an incredible eye-opening review of how to be successful in network marketing and get over our damn selves. We are going to have a little conversation now with our team. Thank you for joining us. Signing off. Until next time. Mwah.